All right, guys. So, this is live. We're going to talk about this weekend. We're going to talk about August 22nd, the event that has been coined by some as Battle of Portland 3.0, which is, I got to say, silly. There's a couple things we're going to talk about. The city of Portland and community members decided to do a press conference today discussing this. And it's very similar to what happened in Berkeley a few years ago when Nancy Pelosi and Maxine Waters decided to, and the city of Berkeley and San Francisco and a couple other people decided to do a press conference just like this after they found out that about 14 or 15 people associated with Patriot Prayer and other Patriot groups were going to go down and do a freedom rally in Berkeley, California, and in San Francisco, and they decided to do a big press conference about it and try to drum up more people, in which case we got BAM, by any means necessary, Black Lives Matter, and some of you know MS-13 even decided to come and play, and they attacked me and a couple people that were there, and this whole thing was talking about how these Nazis and these white supremacists and so on were coming down, even though even down there in California and in Berkeley, the Patriot side was more diverse as usual than the opposing thousands of people who came to smash the fash. So a couple different things that we're going to be talking about. First and foremost, the event organizers reached out to me and they gave me a couple press releases, I guess you could say, have been put out. And they so I'm going to read them for you. Sorry, I'm not all fancy and have like a teleprompter or whatever. I'm going to be reading them off of my phone. If I can find it again here really quick. There we go. So the first press release that came out this morning says, for immediate release, we are having a Summer of Love themed event to be held Sunday in Portland, Oregon at the Tom McCall Waterfront Park at 2 p.m. There are a couple of points we would like to make in regards to an article published in the Oregon Live paper about this event, also known as the Oregonian, for those of you who are local. First, this article states, Lovell, Mayor Ted Wheeler, community leaders, and anti-fascist protesters are gearing up for an anticipated far-right gathering Sunday afternoon at Tom McCall Waterfront Park. An anonymous flyer has circulated publicly advertising, United We Win, event for patriots, don't tread on me. While many people are part of groups and some are not one single community leader, the mayor or chief level, has reached out to any of these people or these groups. Not one single time. Yet they are having pressers issuing out outlandish statements and labeling some of us as hateful. We resent this, so I'm making this press release because the community should hear from us. We are having a patriotic, fun-loving event. I remember when Patriots showed up in Portland to back the blue and police stood down while innocent people were harmed by Antifa, including passerbys, whom some were children, maced by Antifa and their mother, which we'll get into later. I recall a man, Adam Kelly, leaving another patriotic event when Antifa, dressed in all black, chased this man and then beat him with a baton and caused him to get many staples on his head. What did these community leaders do? They did nothing and doubled down, still pointing their fingers at the conservative citizens, labeling them far-right bigots and white supremacists. This is a complete miscarriage of Portland's elected leaders and community leaders. Everyone has a right to free speech, and to purposefully allow such lawlessness in their city to where it puts others in danger because you don't agree with their message, which is not a white supremacy one, but rather a constitutional freedom-loving one. You are elected to protect your community, and that means that you acknowledge the crimes and harm these Antifa people are doing to others. You don't stand there and call people names. Do your jobs. Joanne Hardesty issued a statement about supposed white supremacists coming to town at a flag wave held by Trump supporters last year. The DA of Portland, Mike Schmidt, has been letting out rioters and committing horrible crimes on the community and police that entire summer. The next day, a man that was often known to be part of Antifa and BLM shot and killed Aaron J. Danielson in cold blood. Your DA had allowed that murderer free 7 times for gun charges, I will add. We all feel it is not freedom-loving conservatives that the community needs to be afraid of. It is corrupt politicians like Joanne Hardesty, Mayor Ted Wheeler, Mike Schmidt, and even your Governor Kate Brown, whom consistently calls us white supremacists and bigots, stoking the flames of people's emotions with not a care in the state for the people's lives affected by these dangerous, aggressive terrorists like Rose City Antifa and other organizations that claim they are just an ideology, which we all know they are not. You, the elected officials of Portland and the state, along with others, have collaborated numerous times to announce false narratives and accusations on innocent people and groups. No matter how many times you repeat your lie, it will still never make it fact. We are going to gather and celebrate liberty, life, and freedom in a peaceful manner. We will exercise our First Amendment rights while having fun, socializing, dancing, and meeting with each other. We would like for you, the Mayor Wheeler, to acknowledge a statement made by we the people about this event on August 22nd, 2021 for your presser today. They did not do that. They actually acted like it didn't exist. They didn't mention it. They didn't bring it up. They just stayed on their narrative, which we will go into here later. I actually took it apart. I took their whole presser apart, and I made some points about it. But here's the other kicker. Before their presser, the organizers of the event put out another statement. Now check this out. Public service announcement. In an effort to keep the peace and to not cause any unnecessary violence, the organizers of the event, United We Win, that was originally set to take place at Tom McCall Park in the waterfront in downtown Portland, would like to inform those wishing to attend that the event will be relocated to another location to be released tomorrow. Knowing that the city of Portland plans to do nothing whatsoever to keep the peace or create a safe space for constitutionally guaranteed rights of citizens to peaceably assemble, this is the next best option to hold our peaceful event in the safest way possible. We hope that the violent gangs who intend to assault the event downtown will stay downtown and that the event will remain peaceful. Location will be announced Sunday morning. Now, for those of you who have watched me for a while, know that I have been adamantly opposed to people going into Portland in the first place. So that second public service announcement, it made me smile, because I don't believe going into downtown Portland really will help anything unless you have giant numbers. If you have 1,000 people to walk across the bridge to get into Portland, then awesome. You're making a statement. It matters. It's not just a group of people walking in to fight, right? And by that second public service announcement, I mean, it starts off with, in an effort to keep the peace. I don't know. It's a clue. That's a clue. Right? It's a clue to maybe these people aren't wanting to come to Portland to pick a fight. Maybe if you go and you look at the Twitter accounts of Rose City Antifa, Willamette Valley Hate Watch, Luis Marquez, YLF, Youth Liberation Front. Like, there's so many, Alyssa Alazar. You look at any one of these guys' Twitter accounts and you will see where they are bragging in public about wanting to kill fascists. Punch a Nazi, organizing and fundraising to bring in more Antifa into Portland to start another fight, to create a fight. Now, before I get into the presser, there's a couple things that I wanted to show you, and that the mainstream media absolutely will not report on, I am sure. But during this presser, it was interrupted, shall we say, by Quincy's wife, Jamie, And I got to say, kudos. Kudos for the bravery and the words that she said. So check this out.
White supremacy is not the problem. Boys were not the problem. Antifa Black Bloc are the ones who threw bombs, mortars, and pepper spray at me and my children. My baby girl, 8 years old, nearly was hit in the face with an explosive by white people dressed up in all black. Attacking me and my family! It is not the Proud Boys! And you, the city of Portland, and everybody who supports them needs to know this! My black children were almost hit with bombs and mortars! My 9-year-old son was drenched in pepper gas thrown by Antifa! Boy, if Black Lives Matter to you, you better back up!
He's deaf, James.
They did not. Yes, they are part of the problem. Yes, they are part of the problem. But you know what? You and you are the problem. Every single local news station denied my story. You rejected it in favor of one man with an airsoft gun. No problems were present that day. The event hadn't even started yet. We were shaking hands, saying our hellos, smiling at each other, having fun. And Black Bloc Antifa marched in, screaming, "Hail," chanting, "Hail Satan," and screaming, "Where's your God now?" Okay, it's on video, and you were probably there.
I may have been. Antifa doesn't
Did you hear it? I may have been. That is the problem in this city. They beat and terrorize an Asian gay man who still has to fear for his life, who still hides from them. They still threaten his life. A gay Asian man. Stop Asian hate. Stop black hate. The boys were invented because Antifa was the one who was terrorizing us. My husband, we are a one-income family, and Antifa has been trying to get him to lose his job. And that would put 10 black people out of a home.
Your husband is very dangerous.
Job.
Your husband is extremely dangerous.
Bull, Dustin.
Quincy.
Bull.
Quincy
You have
is
never
extremely-
once seen him
Quincy.
be violent in any way, shape, or
Quincy.
form.
Quincy is
Antifa
extremely
beat
dangerous.
up a transgender down here on these streets. It was a man transitioning to a woman. She was broken, sitting on the sidewalk because they took her backpack, her skateboard, and she said, "I have nothing left." She was begging for her stuff back. And then the man who tried to stop them was beat in the street.
Deaf person. You're speaking over a deaf person.
You know what? That's your deaf.
You're speaking over a deaf person. You're speaking over a deaf person. Oh my gosh, I started dying. So couple things with this. If you guys want to see the rest of the video, I'm pretty sure Black Conservative Preacher has it up. You guys can go check it out over there. The link has been kind of going around all day. But one other thing though is that you remember the guy laughing, saying that Antifa wouldn't ever, chant "Hail Satan."
Hail Satan! Hail Satan! Hail Satan! Hail Satan! Hail Satan!
No, yeah, they did there, and it's on tape. So, like, you can't really say that, Antifa wouldn't do that, because there it was. Weird how that works, right? And again, it's super great that it was an Antifa filmer that filmed that. So, like, it's their own stuff biting them. But for the rest of you who don't know what she was talking about, there's another guy who, by the end of this next clip here, I'll tell you who it was. I forgot to put it on there and give him credit, who put this together. But this guy put together the bunch of different angles of the event that she was talking about. And now I'm going to show you.
No KKK, no fascist USA! No KKK, no fascist USA! No KKK, no fascist USA! We got fucking kids here! Knock it off!
Okay, they got kids here, and they got kids. Come on, where's the police at? They threw a bomb already. We got kids here. Right here, watch him.
I'm just a journalist.
No, you're not. What is that? He has to.
Don't strut.
Okay, I'm telling you. I can tell you my It's me.
Peace to you in Jesus' name.
What the fuck? Hey!
Get back. We're good.
All cops are bastards in the name of Jesus, amen.
Go.
Hands up, don't persecute! Hands up, don't persecute! But I want we're down here. You know, right. We're to share the love of God. We're down here to stand together as brothers and sisters. We're not down here to seek violence against anybody. Jesus would be ashamed of what y'all are doing here. What are we doing?
You're transphobic.
You're the one throwing the fireworks. You're the one stealing shit, breaking shit, yeah.
And what happened after that was Antifa went and took their sound equipment that they were stealing and they threw it in the Willamette River. Now, what the media reported was that it was a fight against far right and far left people. First of all, there was no fight. Second of all, it was no far right, nothing. There were no Proud Boys there. The media all over the place said there were Proud Boys there. There wasn't a single Proud Boy there, not one. And watching Antifa march in, at the very beginning of that video, you can see everybody was facing the other direction. Everybody who was attending there, they were facing the other direction. A couple people were watching Antifa when they started throwing the fireworks. So it was completely unprovoked. It was completely unnecessary. There was no reason for it whatsoever. There was no far right, nothing. It was literally a church service. And yet the media doesn't even know. They don't even care. Ted Wheeler, it didn't even happen. Didn't even happen at all. And then on Friday, there was was it Friday or Saturday? One of those days. There was Friday, this happened. Saturday, it was a Christian rock concert. Antifa came. They didn't do anything because there was way too many people there, of course. And then as soon as everybody was trying to go home, Antifa started throwing caltrops, fireworks, flashbangs, improvised explosives, and so on, trying to prevent the people from leaving the parking garages. If it wasn't for the group of patriots that were there pushing Antifa back, because there wasn't a cop anywhere. There was no cop seen all day long. Oh, just kidding. There was one cop that came and looked over the overpass for a second, and then he got back in his car and he left. That was the only cop seen all day in downtown Portland. Not another one came by. And Antifa was able to, almost get free reign. But if it wasn't for that group of citizens, not Proud Boys, not Oath Keepers, not 3%ers, a group of citizens who went there with the sole purpose of ensuring a safe event for this Christian rock concert, people would have gotten seriously hurt. People would have had their vehicles damaged. Actually, as it was, people still already had their vehicles damaged by Antifa. But again, we don't see the media or the city council or these community leaders condemning Antifa whatsoever. No. What they condemn is they condemn people who believe in freedom. Yeah. They condemn people who believe in liberty and equality for everybody. That's who they condemn. And I'm going to talk about that a little bit. But for right now, I want to get into this press conference because holy crap. So as many of you know, Portland leaders came out today and they did a rally and they did a press conference regarding what's happening on the 22nd, or at least what they believe is happening on the 22nd. So I figured I would go ahead and grab a couple sound bites from what they said and, well, destroy it. So we'll just go ahead and just jump right into it with some of their wonderful little talking points.
The gift of love is endowed with unifying power, the strength to look beyond our differences, to see the beauty in each of us.
So we start off talking about love. About love. Now, this is beyond laughable, as most of you already know. The left talking about love and peace and so on when it's the left who are coming to assault people. Yeah, that's hilarious. But just wait, it gets a little funnier.
Love is more than an emotion. It's a choice, the only solution to change the world. Choose love, yeah. It don't always feel good, it don't always look right, but I choose love.
Yeah, they sang about love. They sang about choosing love. I love leftists because no matter what, they will always give you material. No matter what, you can always count on them. They're going to do something absolutely hilarious and silly beyond belief. But all kidding aside, it's about to get real.
So my message today is join us. Hate and hate groups have no place in our city. Violence has no place in our city. Bigotry has no place in our city. Racism must be etched out of the fabric of our community, our state, and our nation.
Violence has no place in Portland? That's amazing. That is extremely amazing coming from the guy who allowed violence to take place in Portland all year last year. Bigotry has no place in this city? You have a whole army of bigots that's going to be coming and standing against people who simply wanted to have a freedom rally in the city of Portland. You know, exercise their First Amendment right. Racism has no place in Portland? The only racists are those little ninjas that come out and they call anybody who waves an American flag who might be a person of color or gay or anything that is not stereotypically right-wing. Oh my goodness. Hear what they call them. Hear the language that comes out of their mouth. The left's actual racism comes out full blown. I have 2,000 videos out there that show it.
Mayor, to be honest, I hold out little hope that any Proud Boys are going to listen to the Metro Council president when she says, we don't want you here. And I don't think many counter protesters will be surprised to hear the Metro Council president say, don't take their bait. But I hope that all those thinking about fighting in our community this weekend see the strength, unity, diversity, love, empathy, and genuine care for the people in our community on display here today. I hope enough of our words make it through.
First off, let me go ahead and ask the question, why would anybody listen to you? Especially since there's going to be a lot more diversity on the Patriot side than there will be on the opposing side. Second of all, don't take the bait. You're the ones that are perpetuating this idea that there's a bunch of Nazis and white supremacists and bigots coming to town, when that's not even the case. That's not even true. You can call the Proud Boys racists and white nationalists and so on and so forth, but their leader is Cuban. They have a large number of Black, Latino, and Asian members. The whole idea that they're white supremacists or white nationalists kind of goes bunk at that point in time. When you look at a picture of them or you listen to them speak, I don't know, maybe reality might need to bite you a little bit there, because the truth shall set you free, lefties.
And the way that we create positive, lasting change is to listen and be led by those who have often been and sometimes still are spoken over. It requires the tough work of being honest about our organizations and institutions, and the even tougher work of genuinely changing the way they operate. And that includes the organization that I'm in charge of.
Yeah, maybe it would be a good idea to listen. I mean, listen to these people. Listen to these people and what they are saying. They're like, oh yeah, maybe we should start listening. The best thing that you can do, right-wingers, is start listening. No, you guys should listen. Never once has there been a Nazi rally or a white supremacist rally or a white nationalist rally in Portland when it has to do with patriots coming to town. Just because you love America and you want to wave a flag in America and you want to have a First Amendment rally or a freedom rally in America, that doesn't make you a Nazi or a white supremacist. Just because you voted for Donald Trump doesn't make you a white nationalist or a white supremacist. It means that you love your country and you believe in personal responsibility in the Constitution of the United States. That's all it means. Period. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. There's very, very few white nationalist boogeymen out there. Like, hardly any.
The groups that are planning to travel to our city this weekend are threatened by this vision and a community that has chosen to try and achieve it. So they resort to displays of intimidation and threats of violence. And we've seen this play out enough times to know that they have every intention of picking fights. And to do so this weekend would be to engage in this provocation in the middle of a COVID surge with our hospitals at capacity.
First of all, no, hospitals are not at capacity in Portland, guys. Just so you know, don't freak out. Don't worry. She's a liar. Hospitals are not at capacity in the Portland metro area whatsoever. Second of all, the only people who are resorting to displays of intimidation is Antifa. It is the people who have been all over Twitter being very, very public on Twitter about how they want to kill Nazis, how they want to attack the Nazis, how they want to beat up and assault and kick them out of town. Again, when I say the Nazis, I'm talking about freedom-loving Americans who simply want to be able to go to Portland and have a rally. And the only reason anybody is coming from out of state is to try to help protect them from the fascists, from Antifa, who is displaying publicly for the world to see their violence.
And while there's always room for disagreement, we recognize that just because these ideologues stand in opposition to equity, justice, and inclusion, their ideas absolutely do not stand on equal ground. White nationalism and white supremacy are not welcome here. Not this weekend, not ever. And I stand firmly with the community to denounce these ideologies of hate, exclusion, and bigotry.
Let me just clear that up real quick. First of all, our ideals, since we're ideologues, our ideals is equality. It is freedom for all. It is liberty. It is the absence of bigotry. If you would ever just take a moment and listen to one of our speeches, to listen to one of the events, to listen to the words that come out of their mouth, not once do you ever hear anything bigoted. Never once do you hear anything Islamophobic. Never once do you hear anything homophobic. Never once do you hear anything racist. As a matter of fact, you hear a lot of African Americans and Asians and Latinos speaking at these events, talking about inclusivity, talking about freedom, talking about liberty. That is our ideals. That is what we believe in. That is what the right believes in. We don't believe in your bigotry. We don't believe in your racism. We don't believe in your groupthink. Because guess what? We believe that everybody is an individual and they have a right to have their own opinions. Even if they're stupid. Yes, they can have stupid opinions. Just like you, stupid people sitting there speaking right here today, have your right to have your stupid opinions. No matter how stupid and wrong they might be, it is your right to believe such stupidity, but it needs to be called out. That is the wonderful thing about the First Amendment, because you have the right to say stupid things, and guess what? We get to have the right to correct the record. We get to have the right to call you out on your stupidity, because you can accuse the Proud Boys of this, or the Patriots of that, or Patriot Prayer of this, or me of this or that. It doesn't matter what you accuse us of. You can't back it up. You can never back it up. You might be able to find one or two individuals that might be loosely related to something somewhere. They might have had an affiliation with this one person who might be affiliated with this, and then do your little conspiracy theory, checkmate, addition, subtraction, multiplication, and these letters equal this and that, and then all of a sudden, boom, they're part of that group when they're not. But that's all you have. You cannot come out with a direct quote on tape or anything that could maybe not be manufactured, maybe not be, compiled and created to further your agenda. You can't do it. It is impossible. It doesn't exist. Because it doesn't exist. Because your whole narrative is bunk. Your whole narrative is a lie. Welcome to the First Amendment of the United States, where you get to have your stupidity called out by people who are, much more intelligent than you apparently, live in the real world, and who actually go out and document this stuff and have been documenting it for years and calling out the bad behavior. Yeah, we exist. We're out there. We are fixing the record.
We've even seen the death in our community from events like this, like the one scheduled on Sunday. 2 last year, in fact. One associated with Patriot Prayer and the other Antifa.
Speaking of correcting the record and calling out the lies, who did Patriot Prayer kill? Anybody know? I don't know of any instance where any member of Patriot Prayer has actually killed anybody. I can list a whole bunch of occasions where Antifa has killed a bunch of people. Black Kid up in Chaz. Aaron J. Danielson here in Portland. Who else? I know Antifa's tried to kill quite a few people. I mean, they stabbed Andrew Duncan. They almost killed the guy who stood up for the trans person. They kicked him right in the head and smashed his skull. Are they talking? Oh, wait, no, yeah. Nobody associated with Patriot Prayer has killed anybody. If I'm wrong, I don't, like I said, I've been doing this for a long time. I don't remember anybody associated with Patriot Prayer killing anybody, ever.
Good morning. I'm Eric Ward, Executive Director of Western State Center. 1 year ago, despite several years of intimidation when white nationalists and anti-government ideologues invaded Portland streets.
He must be talking about Antifa here, right? Anti-government ideologues? Because the right believes in a limited government. The right aren't anarchists, nor do we actually sit there and say we're anarchists. The actual anarchists dress like ninjas. They're Antifa. They call themselves anarchists. So who's he talking about?
Some people may have still been surprised. Now, 12 months later, after the attack on the Oregon Capitol, the violent insurrection in our nation's capital on January 6th, and a string of anti-democratic violence across Oregon this summer, there's absolutely no longer any excuse for being caught unawares. We know what the Proud Boys and other paramilitary formations coming to Portland this weekend are looking to do.
First of all, what string of violence? I know that the Proud Boys tried holding an event in Oregon City and they were attacked by Antifa. They were attempted to be attacked by Antifa once before, but Antifa couldn't get the numbers, so they just went home. And other paramilitary groups that are coming to Portland? Who's coming to Portland? The Threepers are too afraid to come out of their houses and hold a rally for anything, much less, obviously, they're not going to Portland. And who's these other groups that are coming to Portland that are paramilitary? The Oath Keepers? Nope, they're not going anywhere. They don't exist really anymore. Who are these other groups? You're going to throw something out like that. Who are they? And don't you just love how they keep on talking about the insurrection? The one time that right-wingers did something stupid. Man, good job, everybody. You gave them their one talking point. And you wonder why I'm so worried about optics all the time? The one time the right-wingers did anything stupid, and they're going to beat that horse until it doesn't exist anymore. One occasion, but screw the whole year last year where cities were on fire, precincts were burning down, courthouses were on fire, cops were getting assaulted, people were getting assaulted, grandmothers were getting assaulted. Yeah, they're fine. But that one time that there was an insurrection at the Capitol, that's a biggie. No. You guys want to know what an insurrection is? Look at Afghanistan. That's an insurrection. Yeah, that's an insurrection, guys. A protest where the cops are letting people in and so on, for the most part, it was pretty, easy stuff. You guys see what happened in the chambers? They're just walking around taking pictures. Yeah, that's not an insurrection, Cupcake. That is a riot. Sure, I'll give you riot. but it's definitely not an insurrection by any stretch of the imagination whatsoever.
Sunday's rally is an intentional effort to undermine Portland's civil society and to intimidate its communities. Bigoted and anti-democratic groups want to sow chaos to promote their dangerous and exclusionary agenda as an alternative to local government. These groups know they stand to benefit from a perception of lawlessness and fear. So that's exactly what they intend to spread this weekend. Violence at these events isn't a bug, it's a feature.
Hear those talking points: lawlessness and sowing their division and their bigotry. The only people sowing their division and bigotry, again, is Antifa. These people coming to Portland simply wanted to have a rally. If Antifa never showed up, guess what? They would just have a rally. The city of Portland would never know. The city of Portland would never even know anything was happening. You know how I know that? Because I used to go down and film the riots. And you know what the most startling thing was when I was filming the riots? If you went 2 blocks up and a block over, people were going about their day. There might be flashbangs going off. There might be concussion grenades going off from the SWAT teams that doesn't exist anymore, by the way. And you would still have people just going about their day, just like it was a normal Friday night, going out to dinner, going to a club, hanging out, chilling, talking on the sidewalk, just having a good day. If anybody decided to have an event down there at the waterfront, the city of Portland would never know, unless you were sitting here doing what you're doing today, trying to stir up a army, trying to get together and get everybody together to stand against these mythical Nazis and these people who literally only want freedom, who literally only want to be included in the conversation, who only want to just live their lives in the United States of America. Portland should not be an off-limits zone. It shouldn't be. Portland, the city of Portland in Portland, Oregon, is a no-go zone. And they're proud of it. They are proud that Portland, Oregon is a no-go zone. It is ridiculous.
It also requires us to be clear-eyed about this threat, not creating false equivalencies between different sides, understanding what motivates this hate. These extremists seek to sow divisions between communities because our fates are deeply intertwined. As Eric explains better than anyone, frankly, it's impossible to take on white nationalism and racism without taking on anti-Semitism or Islamophobia, xenophobia, homophobia, misogyny, and all other forms of hate. And similarly, we can't take on that hate without taking on the white nationalism and white supremacy at their core.
First off, give the lady a drink of water. Second of all of those things that she just listed, anti this and anti that, welcome to the right. Welcome to the conservative side. Welcome to the Republican Party. Because guess what? For the most part, except for maybe evangelicals, we don't care. We don't care about your life. We don't care about who you love. We don't care about where you're from. We don't care. Welcome to America. That's our belief. Welcome to the United States, where you can live your life, be who you want to be, love who you want to love, and we don't care. But you know what? They don't believe us. Even though we say it until we're blue in the face, even though we show it with our inclusive groups, but they don't care. Because they have this idea, because we love freedom, because we love the idea of freedom and personal responsibility, they hate it. They hate the idea of freedom and personal responsibility. They hate our whole way of life, of live and let live. Because, well, if you needed any more proof of how much they hate the idea of live and let live, the whole point of this is to make sure that people who just want to live and let live don't.
So when I hear about the Proud Boys coming to town, I think about yet another attack on our community. Because they don't just come to town and rally. They drive around Interstate Avenue in the Lloyd district, looking for trans and gender nonconforming people to attack. They follow and intimidate Black Lives Matter activists on a daily basis. Their hatred isn't just on the occasional weekend. And what we need to do is look at the systems that are creating the Proud Boys and allowing them to flourish. And every time they come to town, what we need to do as a city is say, We are against racism, homophobia, transphobia, Islamophobia, misogyny, and fascism. We stand against those beliefs, and we will protect our citizens from those who have those beliefs.
Again, just real quick, where's the hatred? Where have you ever witnessed hatred from the right? I have never witnessed it. In the 6 years that I've been doing this, in the 6 years that I have been filming Patriot rallies and Antifa riots and protests and so on, the only hatred I've ever seen is from the left and from these goons on this panel who are sitting there talking to the citizens of Portland. I have yet to see any hatred from anybody on the right. Ever. Again, I have 2,000 videos that you guys can go through, 6 years of footage that you guys can go through, and you can hear it. You can hear, we love everybody. We want everybody to come into this freedom society. We include everybody. We denounce racism. We denounce bigotry. Come in, come one, come all. Hey, Antifa, come check out this rally. Learn about freedom. Hey, Black Lives Matter, come to this rally. Learn about freedom and why you're wrong. That's what we do. That is what the right does. That's what we have done forever. That's what we have done since the 1860s. When we freed the slaves. When we passed every single piece of civil rights legislation. When we ended segregation. Weird. Oh, but don't worry, people are going to say stupid things like the party switched, except for they haven't, because the narrative has still remained. Divide, keep people separate. We want segregation. That the Democrats of today are the exact same Democrats of the 1820s. They want separation. They want division. They hate America. They hate everything about America. They want death to America. The Democrats have been saying the same thing the Taliban and the Iranians have been saying for years now. Death to America. Death to the ideals. Death to freedom. Because they don't like it. They hate it. They hate the whole concept of freedom because it has personal responsibility. And entitled little leftists don't like personal responsibility because that means that they have to pay for the consequences of their action. Defund the police. Weird. How about separating people's dorms? Black-only hospitals. The list goes on and on and on when it comes to the left hating America. And that's why they hate us. That's why they call us Nazis, because we believe in the founding fathers and the principles that were laid down. I've talked about this many times, so I'm not going to beat this dead horse either.
Look, I don't have a ton to add beyond my remarks earlier, but I will just reiterate some key points. I think obviously my role here is to help contextualize what we have seen in Portland and what we expect to see in Portland in the national context. And I think it's so crucial that we understand it as such, that the violence, the extremism playing out on Portland's streets are sadly not isolated incidents, but are part of a much broader national and frankly global crisis of extremism. It's the natural culmination rather of months and years of disinformation, of hate, of conspiracy theories that have been churning and increasingly mainstreamed in so many ways. And while the ways in which this extremism manifests, from large-scale events like Charlottesville, Pittsburgh, or El Paso, to events on streets like what we've seen in Portland and other cities like Berkeley and beyond, to the record level hate crimes. It's important that we not separate these events, that we not separate these various forms of extremism and rather see them as part of the record level domestic terror, extremism, and hate that we're seeing in this country.
You notice how she's talked about Berkeley and beyond, and all these other places? There's a trend here. Every single one of the events that she spoke of would have been perfectly fine, perfectly dandy events if it wasn't for the fascists, the actual fascists, the little commies running around in ninja costumes, going around and attacking people who simply wanted to exist, who simply wanted to have a get-together and talk about freedom and talk about ideals and so on. There's a trend, and yet these idiots don't understand that. They don't see that their side is the only side who attacks the other. there's been maybe two different occasions where the right has actually like gone out looking for a fight on the left. Oh wait, no, that's never happened. The right shows up to a place and then they get attacked and then they fight back. And then they go, oh, they came and they were looking for a fight. Oh, they came and they attacked them. No, it's called self-defense. That's what it is. Self-defense.
I also laid out my remarks this morning at the rally, but I will this afternoon just revisit some of the points that I think are critical for us to understand as Portlanders, as Oregonians, and as Americans. It is that we know from prior anti-democratic mobilizations in Portland that the majority of attendees do not reside here, but travel to the city to engage in political violence. This will be the case again on Sunday. Attacks on our civil institutions haven't stayed within the Portland city limits. Over the last 5 years, as Portland has been left largely on its own to contend with this political violence, we have begun to watch it ebb and flow across the states. Today, we don't merely speak of Malheur in Portland, Oregon. We now talk about Cresswell and a mayor who recently resigned because of pressure from far-right paramilitary organizations like the Proud Boys and others. We speak of Southern Oregon and government officials who have been threatened and harassed, school board members who have had to cancel public meetings, and of course, the attempted insurrection at the Oregon State Capitol.
Did you guys hear all that? Him sitting there trying to equate right-wing violence with protests at school boards, protests at city halls and county commissioner offices. Are you kidding me? This is protest. This is First Amendment. They're canceling it because they don't want to hear the opposition. They cancel them because they're scared of people, speaking. That's what they're afraid of. Nobody has been violent at any of these school board meetings. Nobody has been violent at any of these other meetings that he's talking about people being intimidated at. And if you're intimidated by some people out there holding signs and wanting to have their voices heard because they're angry at the government doing a horrible job, well, maybe you need a new line of work. Maybe you just need to take a civics class and learn how this country is supposed to operate, because public meetings are supposed to be public for a reason, for people who are supposed to own this country, people who are supposed to control every aspect of this country, governed by the people, for the people. That's the point. Especially that's the point of the First Amendment, the right to peaceably assemble, which obviously you can't do in Portland, especially if you're listening to these idiots.
Well, good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining us. We are here today because, as you're well aware, the city, its public works bureaus and police bureau are certainly aware of, and we're preparing for a variety of potentially large gatherings being planned for early afternoon this Sunday, August 22nd. It is our understanding at this time that the gatherings will take place at Tom McCall Waterfront Park. I want to be clear, no permits have been requested or issued for these events. To prioritize public safety, city council offices and city bureaus are working collaboratively along with local and regional law enforcement partners to prepare for these events. It's certainly my hope and expectation that these events will remain peaceful. If there are those who engage in non-peaceful behavior, we want you to know and understand that the city, the police bureau will respond to the situation to the very best of our ability, given the current legal and logistical constraints. I think folks are clearly aware that the city of Portland has long embraced and continues to support the most cherished of American values for generations, and that's the right to assembly and the right to free speech. But as we have seen in the past, these events can be subverted by people who come with the intent to commit either acts of violence or destruction, or sometimes both. To those people who want to engage in this kind of behavior, I say this: do not show up. If you do show up and engage in criminal conduct, you're subject to arrest and prosecution. We're coordinating our efforts with other law enforcement agencies and the district attorney on this front. As police commissioner, I've been meeting regularly with police and other bureaus to identify tactical responses. I can tell you that the police are developing an appropriate plan with adequate resources to prepare for the events. We have many eyes that will be trained on the events. We'll make arrests as people leave the park or later if they engage in criminal conduct.
So that's typical garbage from Ted Wheeler. You know, his baseless everything, the super strong limp backbone that he has. But it does get better.
Police Chief Chuck Lavelle. Good afternoon, Chief.
Good afternoon, Mayor.
Oh, did you guys? I mean, like, am I the only one that like saw and heard the contempt there? Like, that was awesome.
Thank you to all for being here today. I want to reiterate much of what the mayor just spoke about. I know that everyone has been asking a lot of questions, and we have to be mindful to provide information without giving away tactical plans. So thank you in advance for understanding that. The rallies planned in Waterfront Park raise concerns that people may choose to confront and fight with one another. Similar events have happened here, and people have used or threatened to use weapons against others. I share community concerns about violent confrontations. Police officers are sworn to uphold the Constitution and all people's rights to participate in free speech and assembly, and we take that pledge seriously.
Now, don't get me wrong. I like Chuck. I like him. He's said a lot of great things. I think he stands for the right things. I think he's on the right side of the issues. However, he's chief in name only. He has no power. He doesn't get to give any orders. He doesn't get to do anything, which is why I giggled at the whole contempt of thank you, Mayor. So like I said, I do like the guy. And it's sad that he said what he just said, because Portland Police Bureau will not do anything to guarantee anybody's right to peacefully assemble. Portland Police Bureau has no authority to ensure anybody has a peaceful event, which you will listen to here shortly.
However, acting out violently or causing injuries to other people are not constitutional rights. Violence is avoidable, and people should choose to act peacefully, even with those they disagree with. People can and should keep themselves apart and choose to avoid physical, violent confrontations. My message today is simple. If you're considering coming downtown to fight, threaten people, or participate in violence, stay away. If people do engage in violent activity or property destruction, they face arrest and prosecution. The Portland Police Bureau will monitor this event and will make arrests for crimes as resources allow. You should not expect to see police officers standing in the middle of crowds trying to keep people apart. Remember, arrests do not always happen in the moment. After past violent events, we have consistently conducted follow-up investigations, made arrests, and forwarded cases to the Multnomah County District Attorney for prosecution. Just because arrests are not made at the scene when tensions are high does not mean that people won't be charged with crimes. Sunday is an all-hands day. I'll be working, and the Portland Police Bureau has canceled days off. All available personnel will report for duty. I want to publicly thank all of our employees for coming in, especially those who will be working on their days off. I truly appreciate their dedication and resilience, and I'm grateful to their families for supporting them on another day we're asking them to come in for work. As I said, I can't talk about tactics, but want you to know community safety and the safety of Portland police officers is paramount. We'll be providing real-time community safety updates via our Twitter page throughout the day. On Sunday, you can find us by searching the tag @Portland Police. Please monitor that channel for updates. Thank you.
So here's the thing about Portland police and all police in Oregon. They don't have the ability to use crowd control agents. They cannot do it. They can't use pepper spray. They can't use CS gas. They just can't. It is extremely limited on when they're allowed to use it. That's sheriff, state patrol, city police, all of the above. That is why that you will not see police standing between the rival groups because, well, they don't want to get hurt because they're not allowed to use crowd control anything. So that's why you won't see it. That's why they will be watching and they will be monitoring and they will be taking notes and they will be taking pictures and they will be arresting people later if they can, which the only people that they can arrest is going to be people on the Patriot side because, well, they're the only people that don't wear masks and don't all dress the same. So, yeah, that's the reality of the situation. I know Chuck wishes that he could do the right thing. I know Chuck wishes that he could actually be a cop and that he could actually lead his police force. I know this, but he just can't. His hands are tied, and even though they're calling in all these people and nobody can take a day off, they're not going to be able to do a damn thing. And now we get into the reporters asking questions. Oh, just wait. These are gold.
Okay, thanks. And then for my question, either of you would be great if one of or both of you would answer. For the groups that are coming to Portland, do you consider those to be domestic terrorist organizations? You know, Proud Boys and other groups, for example.
You know, for my part, it's probably not appropriate for me to label people and groups. Like there is a process for those labels, but it's not necessarily my place to place those on people.
Yeah, I'll take a swing at this too. So being designated as a terrorist organization is a formal designation. And that's beside the larger point that we're here to address today. Anyone who comes into our community and is spreading their hate, their racism, their xenophobia, their white supremacist predilections, all of that is very intimidating to people who are here, particularly people of color. It causes people to be fearful. As we indicated this morning, it's counterproductive. It takes energy and resources away from people who really need help during this challenging time in our community. And so our basic message to them is you're not welcome here if that is what your intent is, period.
Do you consider them to be white supremacists?
Tess, we got to move on. We don't have room for follow-ups. I'm sorry. You have a question?
Hi, yeah, this question, sure, thank you, is for the mayor and or the chief. It's in response to a comment the mayor gave earlier, so maybe he wants to speak to it. But Mr. Mayor, you said that people should not expect to see police keeping crowds apart and that people need to keep themselves apart. I'm kind of paraphrasing there. It felt like a reference to the criticism that the city got earlier this month when a rally kind of played out and opposing groups did fight each other in the streets, and we all have video of that. So I'm wondering, going into this weekend, if these groups don't stay apart and there are physical clashes, will police intervene this time? If not, when would they intervene?
I'll turn that over to Chief. That's a tactical question, Chief.
Yeah, I know it's one of those things. It's not necessarily the best tactical approach to have officers wading into situations where groups are clashing with each other. I understand the optics of that, but we have to make tactical decisions that put us in a position where we're likely to be successful in making an arrest or taking someone into custody. And there are just situations where that's just not a feasible approach. I mean, to the extent that we can, we will make arrests, whether it's after something takes place or if it's possible to make one at a different time, we'll do that.
So you heard their little talking points, right? Domestic terrorists and extremists and white nationalists, blah, 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 blah. I wonder where they got their talking points from. But now it gets a little weird.
Take 3 more questions. Maggie,
I did ask, though, I did ask, when would they intervene? I mean, just kind of, if it's an all hands on deck situation, what is the mission then that you just said? If people are fighting.
Okay, going on. Joe English, K2.
Yeah. He just said, come on. And then the moderator guy was all like, oh, yeah, okay, moving forward now. But wait. Now comes some actual questions with some meat on them.
What can you tell the public to calm their fears that this is the spark that's going to start another fire of 30, 60, 90, 100 days of rioting in downtown Portland?
That's a great question. That's the first real question. That is the first question that didn't have anything to do with the boogeyman out there, the boogeyman, violent, right-wing, extremist, Nazi people. It's hard to keep track of them all the time. But that was a great question. What do you think the answer is?
So I'll take a swing at that. First of all, the community coming together like we did this morning and stating very clearly what our values are about our support for First Amendment rights, but our strong community opposition to criminal destruction and violence. That's step number one. Step number two is holding people accountable. If people cross that line into behavior, engaging in either acts of criminal destruction or violence, we should hold them accountable. And holding people accountable has clearly made an impact. As I say, we've seen the number of mass demonstrations leading to criminal destruction or violence decline precipitously this year. And so I hope that's a trend that will continue. And the third part is just getting the word out that if you're somebody coming from out of our community with the purpose of coming here and intimidating people or spreading hate or vitriol or causing fear, we don't want you to come here. We're unified as a community against that kind of behavior.
Weird. He tried turning it back to the right. Of course he's not going to piss off his constituents, his voting base. Of course. Wait, who cares? He just got reelected. Have a little backbone, jackass. Maybe be a little, have a little integrity. Maybe sit there and go, well, since the cops' hands are tied and I'm not going to let them do their job, it's a possibility that this might kick off another 100 or so days of rioting in the streets of Portland because we have no control over our city streets and our violent crime rate is up over like 800% and we have, homicide rate up over 500% and whatever. Just because Portland's one of the most dangerous cities in America right now, it's no big deal because we got to worry about the main thing, which is this group of people wanting to come in and have a freedom rally. At the same time, though, I'm going to talk about the First Amendment and how important the First Amendment is, even though only certain people have First Amendment rights and not other people if I disagree with them or if my voting base disagrees with them. Welcome to Portland, Oregon, y'all.
Thank you for your time. One thing I'd like to say is I've been covering these protests for a while. The only time that opposing groups have not clashed violently is when there's a large police response. I'm thinking about Delta Park just last year, some of those protests in August of 2019. My question for you, Mayor Wheeler, is violence essentially inevitable? Can we put down the fig leaf and admit that violence is going to happen and there will not be police preventing those groups from clashing? And how does that feel to know that violence is almost on the calendar now?
Zane Sparling has just, I have so much more respect for him now. I have some real, just good on ya. Great question. Because none of the other reporters out there, none of the mainstream reporters out there ever even thought about asking that question. They never even cared about asking that question. They cared about the boogeyman. They cared about all their little talking points and keeping their base happy, the few viewers that they actually have happy. But Zane, he asked a good question. He asked a great question. So, are you literally just putting bloodshed in the streets on the calendar now?
Well, as you're aware, we have hundreds of demonstrations over the course of any given year, and very few of them actually result in any violence or criminal destruction. This weekend is one that we're certainly concerned about. That's why we've done a lot of preliminary planning. That's why we've been reaching out and collaborating not only with other government partners, but with the private sector, with our nonprofit partners, civil.
And that's Ted's answer. we're reaching out, guys. We're trying to get the community together to stand up against this. We're trying to get the community together to stop the violence. That community that you're getting together isn't going to touch Antifa. They're not going to tell Antifa to stand down. They're not going to tell Antifa to shut up and sit down. They're not going to tell Antifa to stop throwing bricks and rocks and fecal matter and pee and explosives at these people. Not a chance. The community members are going to stand there and hold signs, and they're going to help throw and shield Antifa. That's what they're going to do. That's what they have done the entire time of this whole back and forth thing has been happening. That is what they do. And pretending otherwise, pretending that something else is going to happen, pretending that there is another result that could possibly happen is about as dishonest as you could possibly get. We have a trend, y'all. We have a history of events that have all gone the same way. This is why I have continuously advocated against any patriot groups going into Portland at all, especially downtown Portland. I have advocated against it because there's no point to it. There is no point to going to downtown Portland because no matter what, they're going to say you're going down there to pick a fight. They're going to say that you're going to go down there and you're going to, there's no optics that could ever become positive from going to downtown Portland. Unless you've got numbers, unless you have 1,000 people that are marching over the bridge going into Portland, it's no point at all. None whatsoever to have a Patriot event in downtown Portland. And these idiots and what they have said, it kind of proves it. And there's ways that we can fix it. There's ways that we can change the optics. There are ways that we can prove and show them out to be the bigots and the hateful bastards that they are. We can do it. And I believe that is the plan for the 22nd. Yep. That's the plan for the 22nd. Like I said at the very beginning of this video, I read their second public service announcement saying that they're going to get out of downtown in order to keep the peace. But again, there's no media coverage on this. I mean, I've seen it posted all over the place. There's no media coverage whatsoever of these people who are literally just trying to have a freedom rally, who are literally just trying to have a rally. Talking about freedom, talking about liberty, talking about actual inclusivity. Nope, inclusivity. There we go. And that's what they're going to be doing. But you think there's any media people trying to reach out? Like, I'm doing this video here and share it out. Share it everywhere. Share it everywhere you can. Because I think this is very important stuff, because the narrative from the media, from these idiots at City Hall in downtown Portland there, is that there's a bunch of white supremacists and bigots coming down to start a fight and to destroy the city of Portland. Nope. Nobody has said that. Nowhere has anybody said that. The only people calling for violence, the only people calling for killing people is Antifa. And yet there's no mention of them at all. Zero. But like I said earlier, go check it out. Go to Twitter. Even if you don't have a Twitter account, you can still see most of this stuff. Willamette Valley Hate Watch, Alyssa Alazar, Rose City Antifa, Youth Liberation Front. They're flying people in. They're flying gangbangers in. They're fundraising to get these people in here for one purpose and one purpose alone, and that is to assault people who simply just want to evangelize freedom like myself. I am very thankful and I am very glad that that rally is not going on in downtown Portland, because I didn't want to go. I didn't want to go. I did not want to go do my job by going to downtown Portland on Sunday. Not a chance. Because there's no way to make good optics out of that. The new plan, the new event that'll be, I guess they're announcing the location either tomorrow night or Sunday morning. Yeah, no, it's a good idea. It's a very good idea. It's just, it is baffling to me how these people for the last 6 years have continued to call anybody who waves an American flag a racist or a bigot or a white supremacist or a Nazi or whatever. And I just think about it for a second. The Proud Boys have never put out a piece of propaganda that says, hey, we're racist. Come join us and burn a cross. No, but you know who does? Actual racists. Actual racist groups, they're not ashamed of being racists. They're proud of their racism. They're proud of their white supremacy. The Threepers have never put out a piece of article or a piece of paper or statement or whatever saying that, hey, we're racist. You know who has? The Klan. Aryan Brotherhood. These guys have made it very clear how racist they are. The Panthers. Good example. La Raza. Good example. Right? There's groups out there, racist groups out there, and they're proud of their racism. They're proud of their, national power. They're proud of it. They let it out for everybody to see. Black Lives Matter. Bunch of white kids who are racist. I don't know. It's weird. At least around here. I know other places that Black Lives Matter actually has African Americans that are involved. But you don't hear these actual racists ever sitting there going, no, we're not racist. And let me tell you why we're not racist. And let me explain to you. Let me just show you how we're not racist. Actual racists are proud of their racism, geniuses. It's amazing to me how just disconnected the left is. And I love it every time that I see anybody go, oh, left and right are the same. Yeah, no, they're not. It's very evident and very clear how different left and right is. Because the right lives in the real world. The right can actually sit there and they can watch a cartoon where somebody fell off of a bridge and landed in water. And they go, hey, somebody just fell off a bridge and landed in water. Huh, that just happened. That's weird. But the left will go, he didn't fall off the bridge. He was pushed off the bridge by a Nazi, see, and he didn't land in water. He landed in this like weird in-between area here. And that was like sludge maybe, or mud, or maybe he didn't even land at all. Maybe he actually jumped onto a train that was going by. Nobody saw a train in the video, but they might have done it because that's how they operate. The left will sit there and they'll just make random stuff up. Random, weird, crazy stuff. Did you guys know that a half Japanese dude is a white supremacist? His name's Joey Gibson. Yeah, he's half Japanese. He's a white supremacist. Makes sense. Totally makes sense. Did you guys know that there's a white supremacist Samoan? Tusitala Toese, also known as Tiny because he's so little. Yeah, he's a white supremacist. I'm a white supremacist, apparently. I'm a mutt. I'm German, Irish, and Native American. Enrique is Cuban. He's a white supremacist too. Andrew Duncombe, he's black. He's a white supremacist. This is the weird reality that the left lives in. and it's our job as people who, have a little bit of common sense, just a little, who understand reality and live in the real world and can see things like my background here. It's black and it's yellow and this over here, they're yellow links and then, it's red media up there. I mean, that's what it is. I'm wearing a hoodie. That's the reality. I'm not wearing a tank top. And it's our job to sit there and go, no, this is reality. This is how we correct the record because we prove it. And even if they don't listen, even if the masses don't listen, even if the masses watch what happens on Sunday and sees if Antifa actually still goes and attacks the rally, even though it's been moved in an effort to keep the peace, you can't turn those optics. You cannot sit there and go, far-right activists, Nazi, white supremacists, attack these far-left Antifa guys, these these protesters. They attacked them. No. Antifa would have come to them. It is clear as day who the bully is at that point in time, right? Yep. You can't turn that around. You just can't do it. And that's why I'm so happy that the event got changed. So happy. Thrilled. I am ecstatic. But that's enough about that. And that's pretty much what I'm going to end this on. I'm going to end this on those key notes. I'm going to check the comments really quick and see if anybody has any questions or anything. There is an event tomorrow in Portland. A whole bunch of churches are coming together. It's been planned for a while. A whole bunch of churches coming together, and they are going to have a worship service down there tomorrow. And I am planning on going down and covering that. Notice that there was no mention of that in the press conference today. I wonder if there's any preparation. The only preparation or anything mentioned by Portland police or the mayor or anybody is the violent extremists that are coming to town. Even though they already live there and they voted for Ted Wheeler, but whatever, they didn't talk about them at all. But yeah, so there's an event tomorrow. Hopefully it's peaceful. Hopefully there's no backlash to it. Villain, yeah, that's what happened at the Delta Park event. The left still twisted it. Yeah, Delta Park. Proud Boys went and they had a rally in Delta Park. They kept it out of downtown Portland, and Antifa came. They didn't really do too much, but they still twisted it. You bet they did. But that's where we have to keep fighting this war. It's a war. We're in a war right now. Unfortunately, we are in a war right now, and it is an informational war. And that is why I do what I do. I do what I do to try to correct the narrative. That's why I did this video. This video is long. I get it. If you're just now tuning in, go back and watch it. You can skip through it if you want to, but don't, because you're going to miss some stuff. It's very important stuff. Share this thing out, guys. Hit that like button if you haven't done it already. This is super, super important stuff. Correcting the narrative is always a priority, and it should always be a priority no matter what. Yeah. So with that, I think I'm going to call it a night. My beautiful wife is waiting for me to go have dinner with her. It is almost 8:00 p.m. here, Pacific, and I will see you guys tomorrow. Thank you guys for watching, and please share it, post it everywhere. Post it everywhere. Twitter, Facebook, Gab, everywhere. Post it, share it. It's a lot of important information. It's an hour for a reason. It's an hour long for a reason. It is important. Have a good night, guys.